Brainbuster Boys are brought to you by
Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
That's why he is what we call now the real world heavyweight champion. We're not the kind of guys that say, we told you so, but we told you so.
Okay, very good. Ric Flair, you have made world. Okay, very good. Ric Flair, Ric Flair, Ric Flair, Ric Flair, you have made world. Ric Flair. Put that cigarette down. Put that cigarette out.
You ready? Let's do it.
All right. Welcome to the Brainbuster Boys, episode 50. My goodness. My name is Brett Jagger, along with Beaumont Rand.
Hi, everyone. We're golden today. Our golden episode.
Yes.
50.
Yes.
Yes.
We are a bunch of golden boys.
Golden idols.
And you know who else is golden? The Cincinnati Bengals. Holy
Yes.
shit, they did it again, didn't they?
Yeah, shocking. Like, I don't know, shocking makes it seem like it's almost insulting at this point. You know,
Yeah.
the Bengals are really good, and now everybody knows it. You know, like the
It's
league.
shocking. Like so we watched the game together Saturday, 19-16 over the Titans. Holy shit. It's shocking. I brought it up then. It's like we were 6 whatever and 1 in 2 years under Zach Taylor. And then just like that, we're in the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
Yes, we had a good season, but I don't think anyone expected this, and I'm still in disbelief myself. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, not shocking because they are good. And, Burrow's whole thing has been like, we're not the underdog. This is us. Why not us? It is us. But as a fan, for me, my whole life, and you, I know a good chunk of your life,
Sure.
it is shocking because I don't think, even when we made the playoffs this year, I don't think anyone expected us to be here.
The onus has been on win that first game for such a long time.
For 31 years.
Yeah, for 31 years, that like when you move past that, like you said, we're playing with house money. So to kind of go inside the mentality of it, you're like, I if we lose here, we lose here. I mean, we did, the big thing, we got the monkey off our back, for the first round playoff exits. What were we, 0-7 since 91
right.
up to that point. But as we got into the game, and as I think we led the entire time, I don't think the Bengals were ever down.
No, it felt like the Oakland game in the sense that we were just in control, but it was always very close.
Well, and Burrow got sacked 9 times, which is pretty crazy. Like usually people don't get sacked 9 times and win a ball game.
Well, I saw that was the first time that's happened in the playoffs, and only the 6th time in NFL history a team has won after getting sacked 9 times. So pretty crazy.
Thank you, Ryan Tannehill, for that.
And some of Mike Vrabel's shitty calls.
Oh, yeah.
The play of our defense and Burrow and Chase. I mean, on that fucking last play to get into field goal range, it was just like schoolyard ball, just whoop, wide open, done.
Insanity.
And Evan McPherson, of course, 4 for 4, hitting the game-winning 52-yarder, and he hit 4 field goals the week prior. It feels nice to have a good kicker, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, that you can rely on, that will win you games straight up. I mean, it was pretty spectacular. As we got into the thick of the game, the Titans kind of came back, and I think they started driving down the field. I think what was it, Deonta Foreman busted off that big 45-year-old or 45-yard, not 45-year-old run. But yeah, I remember sitting there and just beginning to be like, man, they're going to lose. Just kind of that left for dead, starting to accept the fact that you lost. And it was crazy to me to think man, that's so far then from the mentality that I had going into the game, where I was like, oh, we're playing with house money. If we lose, we lose, for them to make you believe and to expect them to win, over the course of that was just pretty astounding. They're really good. Next week's obviously going to be, a big test, easily the best team we played in the playoffs, Kansas City.
And we beat them 4 weeks ago. I mean, at home, obviously, and not in the playoffs. So, we talked before the game, who would you rather play, Buffalo or Kansas City? And I think we both agreed Buffalo, because it's going to be tough to beat Kansas City again, let alone in Arrowhead, which is very tough to play, and in the playoffs for them going for their 4th straight AFC Championship.
Yep.
But shit, Buffalo looked fucking good last night.
I think this is definitely worth talking about too, because the reaction online was a lot of people were like, this may be one of the best NFL games I've seen, from in the playoffs to all year to,
ever.
To ever. And and then very quickly came the responses of is this their overreaction? And after processing time, what do you think?
It's definitely one of the best games I can remember in the last several years. I mean, the 4th quarter alone was insane. And I mean, in the 2 minutes, there were 25 points scored in the final 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, just 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league, defenses were cashed. I mean, those guys made just incredible plays the whole game. Both of them with
down, so many times.
Yeah. Both of them with their legs often too. I mean, it was just a sight to behold. And I mean, when the Bills score with 13 seconds left, you just assume it's over. Yeah. But Mahomes, if anyone can do it, Mahomes, 2 plays and they get in field goal range. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know you tweeted a bunch of stuff, and there's a lot of chatter today about changing the overtime rules, which probably should happen, but the Bills defense needs to step up. Whether it's on that final drive with 13 seconds to go or in overtime. Make one play and you win the game.
Yeah, you have to. They just were too cashed. We're not, up to the task of tackling the Tyreek Hill and Hardman and those guys who are just ungodly fast.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just pretty much what happened. I wouldn't like to see the NFL overtime rules completely transformed into college. I think, kind of keeping it how it is, but allowing teams maybe in the playoffs to answer with a touchdown.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it's certainly a sour taste in the mouth for Josh Allen, of course, who, on that 4th and 13, the game was on the line. They got the touchdown, and then they got the touchdown at the end of the game with 13 seconds. So it's he did everything he could, but the defense just couldn't hold him. But it's yeah, I agree. I think playoffs, give them a second chance. Or I saw someone say just have a 10-minute clock first, and not first to score, but just 10 minutes and just play.
Yeah.
See what happens.
And then just kind of keep, and then I guess would have a double overtime for, keep repeating periods.
Yeah.
Until someone wins, which eventually somebody will.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a shame, but again, Bills had the number 1 defense in the league, and you got to make a play. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, what a fucking game, regardless. And,
I think a good way to put it for me would one of the top 5, one of the best sporting events in the past few years. I think that's a good way to, give it its proper due while, kind of not overreacting.
It's something I know I'll never forget watching. I think Bengals are definitely lucky, as we've said, that they did not have to play one of those 2 teams in the second round. And I mean, frankly, that was kind of the de facto AFC Championship. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say we're as good as either of those teams, but hey, that's how the cookie crumbled. And somehow we've got a fucking shot to make the Super Bowl. It's ridiculous.
And here's the way I feel about this game upcoming. I don't necessarily expect us to win, not really even close, but I am fully confident that we
hopeful.
can.
I agree.
I'm confident. Like that's the thing about this team. It's like, you think that they're in a situation that they're over their head, and and they're just not. They're just able to compete, and they're really good. And they just continue to surprise you each week. So it's like, I don't expect that trend to slow down.
But what I do know is Burrow can't get sacked 9 times again.
No, yeah,
that's
absolutely
a fact. And obviously we've been dealing with injuries on the line wasn't that great to begin with, but it played good enough all year. But that right side, neither guy was a starter coming into this year, and that just got abused. So it's like, just try some. I mean, Jackson Carman, the rookie, like can he be any worse than Akeem Adeniji was at guard? Probably not. So like, let's just throw him out there, because it can't be worse than it was last week. And I mean, it's going to be a hostile environment for sure. Like you said, I wouldn't, I'm not expecting us to win. I think I saw the line opened at Chiefs by 7, which is fair. I was thinking it'd be about 6. Just go in and don't get blown out. And I don't think they will. I mean, unless the defense just completely falls apart. But we proved we could beat them at home again 4 weeks ago. And it's not like they didn't have any stakes, because they didn't end up getting the number 1 seed as a result of that. So, and that was the game we needed to win to get in the playoffs. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Let's hope they can keep Burrow up a little bit, and that the defense can play. The defense was amazing. If they can play as good as they played, I mean, Derrick Henry was largely an afterthought. And we stopped him on that 4th and 1. We stopped him on that 2-point conversion. Foreman had the big run. I mean, Henry was like 3-something yards a carry. Not much of a factor. Yeah, no, I mean, and like, I guess the strategy of stop the run, let Tannehill beat us, won't necessarily apply as much to the Chiefs. It's going to be the opposite this week. But definitely going to be the opposite. But I mean, again, our coverage, our cornerbacks or safeties, like, got key turnovers, when they needed them. D-line needs to get more pressure this week, for sure, like they did against them the first time. But it's just insane to be here. It's exciting. The whole city is excited. It's still like you said, it's still just like, is this even real? It's still just hard to believe, even 2 days later, as we record this on Monday, the 24th. But fucking who day, brother. That's all I got to say to wrap it up. Whoop, whoop. I'm doing like what the kids do to make semi-truck song. But aside from that, we are about to get into our wonderfully fun review, the 30-year anniversary of Royal Rumble 1992. Put that cigarette out. This was a fun one. Yeah, you had not seen the whole show. Obviously, you'd just seen the Rumble match, which we reviewed on our episode, The Plot Show, which you found an interesting note coming into this recording. Yeah. Like I said, it's 1 year ago today, the anniversary of the beginning of Put That Cigarette Out, impact on the show and my life in particular. Another thing too, I'm not far away from the Snowpiercer episode, which is the next one. I saw Snowpiercer season 3, whatever they're on now. I've been tempted to watch many times. Yeah. So it's kind of, fun to sort of look back and think about, those things, what we were doing then, where we are now. But especially Plot Show. Yeah, our 50th episode, which we review Royal Rumble 92, on the same day we reviewed The Plot Show, which we reviewed the Royal Rumble match 1992, 1 year ago. Yeah. How about that? Something in the air. Mm-hmm. And also we recorded for the first time in Louisville, Kentucky. Yes. We had edited down there before, but never recorded. We tried a bit of a different recording setup to varying success. It's not going to sound too bad, but you will hear maybe some squeaky chairs. And I was really excited talking about this one, and my chair was squeaking, and so just deal with it. Just that's all great. Part of that. It's all part of the infectious enthusiasm. Yeah, it was great. And I guess we can go ahead and throw this out there, since we already did on Twitter on Friday, that we're going to be, for our 3rd week in a row, reviewing another old show. This one directly influenced from Royal Rumble 92. We're going to be reviewing from December 3rd, 1991, this Tuesday in Texas.
Yes, we're just literally taking one step back from the Royal Rumble 92
Yeah.
to
we're going backwards now.
to what fed into it. It's gonna be
Yes.
fun.
And we won't get too much into why. You'll hear that here in the review, why we got into this Tuesday in Texas so much. And expect a full review of that show next week. In addition to maybe some Royal Rumble coverage, which is on Saturday, because I think we'll probably be watching that as well. So should be a fun one here. Anything you'd like to add before we get into our Royal Rumble 92 review?
Not off the top of my head, sir.
Okay, well, you know what we do want to add is about Manscaped.
Oh yeah, let's add. Let's add, subtract, multiply, and so divide and conquer.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Don't let a wild pube wreck you. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our sponsors at Manscaped are here for you with the best tools to get your balls ready for the special occasion. This V-Day, it's time to join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. With our exclusive offer, go to manscaped.com and use the promo code BBB for 20% off and free shipping. Beaumont, we've been talking about the Perfect Package 4.0, but today I'm going to tell you about the Performance Package 4.0.
Yes.
It's the thing every guy needs in their life to make each and every day just a little more special. The first product in this package is the Lawnmower 4.0. You know all about that. The electric trimmer that's designed to trim hair on loose skin. And get this, the trimmer's advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts and nicks on your delicate balls. It even has a 4000K LED spotlight so you can shave anywhere your heart desires. Did I mention that it's waterproof too? Did you know that?
No, I don't think you've mentioned that yet today, but you have mentioned it on other days for sure.
Yeah, it's a great tool to use in the shower. This package also includes the Weed Whacker, nose and ear hair trimmer to whack all the worst of your weeds. And Manscaped even throws in 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag and the Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs to keep your boys stored comfortably. You've heard all about those from us as well.
Oh yeah, we've worn them significantly, and they feel nice. I haven't worn the Shed Bag though. I've put items in it.
Yes,
but not myself. Yeah.
Yes. To complete the perfect package, the perfect package for your package, even though it's the performance package.
Yeah, you have to perform to be perfect, but you have to be perfect to it's a time is a flat circle thing, but with male grooming.
And it's all about the package. Are the liquid formulations you've heard all about from us, like the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, my favorite, and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner. Start your day off with the deodorant for your boys and then stay cool all day with the toner to keep you feeling your best day and night. These formulations will also have your balls smelling like a king on the big day. And don't forget to smell good, not only around your balls, but all over. Made with their signature scent, the Manscaped Refined Cologne will complement your collection with smell perfection. Manscaped created their products for a night just like this and will make your V-Day date say, wow, great set of balls you have there.
You'll say, well, thank you.
Yeah, go to manscaped.com for our exclusive offer of 20% off and free shipping with the code BBB. Your balls and lady or man will thank you. Well, the time is upon us. 30 years of putting that cigarette out. Beaumont, are you ready to go for Royal Rumble 92?
How can I not be?
How could you not be? We reviewed the Rumble match itself about a year ago, I guess. I looked back at my notes. It was the Dynamite from January 20th, which was yesterday. And 2 days ago, the 19th, was the 30th anniversary of Royal Rumble 92. Obviously, Mean Gene's put that cigarette out, certainly took on a life of its own.
Yeah. Well, it was so funny. This time we realized it's the very, very, very end.
It closes the show.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it is like I think there's maybe a minute left. Like, Ric Flair says something, and that's it.
And then Gene has to, come back and, do a sign-off as well after that.
And then there's that goofy, replay pack. What did they say? They're like, oh, here's some highlights. And
Yeah,
it's just pictures.
it's stills from the entire event, and yeah, so we'll obviously save a lot of the juicy stuff for the end, but I will say, I've obviously seen this whole show multiple times.
Yeah.
You hadn't. But for me, I will say, watching it this time, there was definitely a different level of anticipation of getting to put that cigarette out. Because it's like, it's been such a big thing.
Yeah.
We know it's coming.
Watched that video about 1,000 times now.
Used it in our show about 1,000 times. So it's like, it's coming, but like, we were just talking the whole night about like, wonder what Gene's doing right now.
Wonder if if people knew, like whenever they were interviewing Bobby the Brain Heenan, at the very beginning, like little did he know.
Yes, that everyone's lives was about to change.
Yes.
And every interview that went back to Gene, it's like, he has no idea. And you sent that picture out on Twitter last night. I think it was whatever interview he did right before the Rumble, where you posted it in the calm before the storm.
Yep.
So
that's truly what it was.
Yes, it certainly was, and obviously we'll get to the Rumble match, the best Rumble match of all time, no question in my opinion. Some of the best commentary of all time, but the undercard of this show was not the greatest.
No, a bit of a lackluster build up to it for sure.
Yeah.
But I think I think it'd be good to kind of contextualize it now and throughout our discussion of it, that this was like a kid's thing. Like, I don't think we were the target audience.
Yes.
Like us, like even if you took us in our current ages and plopped us back in 1992.
Different era.
Yeah, I still don't think we would be the target audience.
Yeah, well, and we talked about it, like, when you hear the cheers and just the noise of the crowd, it's mostly like women and children. Mm-hmm. And again, just a different era, and just visually, aesthetically, and we got it right on the first match, but just throughout the night, just so many bright colors.
Yeah.
Not only with the wrestlers and their gear, but like you look out in the crowd and just a lot of like bright tone, solid colors from like the fans. We had Houston Oilers guy.
Oh yeah, it was like the Attitude Era that just painted it black.
Yeah,
completely. It was that. You realize.
But it was fun watching this last night, even though there was one particularly dog shit match and another that was just too long. But any final thoughts before we kind of start digging in here? Anything you want to get out here?
No, I think we've kind of. I guess we'll kind of go in and contextualize it, sort of talk about like what this product is and who it's for. We'll kind of leave that sort of within the package that is our discussion of Royal Rumble 92.
And as I've talked before, both on and off air, like this era, the late 80s, early 90s of WWF is like such classic shit for me to like watch when I'm going to bed. It's just like mindless, brainless, easy to watch, and like I have so many memories attached to all this shit. That it's just, it's a fun, while it's not the most quality wrestling, it's just fun to watch.
It is. Like, and kind of, you got to find the right mindset for it.
Yes.
Like, you have to, like I've been saying, contextualize it properly.
No doubt.
And I mean, and this is the stuff before the Rumble. I think the Royal Rumble, in and of itself, is something that lasts the test of time.
It's gold, yeah.
And is something that, would, I feel like, be well received by wrestling fans today.
Most definitely. Yeah. It's near a 5-star match for me. Just everything involved, the commentary, the story, the execution, it's incredible. But we will get there. So let's kick it off live on, like I said, January 19th, 1992, 30 years and 2 days ago, as we record this on Friday the 21st, in the Knickerbocker Arena in Albany, New York.
Yes, home of the Siena Saints. I think that that was their home then, and a bunch of like
minor league hockey
lacrosse.
Or some lacrosse.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when I'd seen this as a kid, and when you first watched it, like the Knickerbocker Arena in Albany, it's like, you'd think it would just be in New York proper because of the Knicks, but
I guess Knickerbocker, applies to the entire state.
Yeah, I guess. What is a Knickerbocker anyway?
I don't know.
Something with pants?
Yeah, is it?
Like your knickers?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Anywho, so let's dig in and let's get started. Before the first match, though, remember the show kicks off with Vince going, "Welcome to Royal Rumble," and it shows like all the pictures of everyone,
all the wrestlers.
Yes, and every single one of the 30. Mm-hmm. I think he runs through, and our favorite, the Repo Man.
Just seeing him in there, he looked like you know, like a bandit from like a Charlie Chaplin,
Yep.
you know, thing. He
My
had the
good,
little Zorro
my
mask
good
on.
friend who helped me out in L.A.
Yes.
Just what a guy. But I just think it's so funny that Vince felt the need to literally yell the name of 30 wrestlers to start the show.
Yeah. You know, and
But it's great. Like,
I
it works.
I thought that
Yes,
was really cool.
it works.
I kind of honestly wish they would do that because it's like, I don't know, like it almost felt like, you know, I've compared a lot of stuff to a fighting game. It has that sort of feel to that. But yeah, no, I thought it worked too.
Yeah, it's just a geek.
And it has those, you know, very sort of like 90s production colors. Everyone was in like this weird hexagon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it had that charm, that sort of quaint charm to it that I liked a lot.
I agree. And, you know, we have Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan on commentary, about to do some of the best work of their careers, especially Heenan, who is nervous from the get-go. You know, we were watching with our buddy Will last night, which, again, is a nice kind of control, because, like, you know, you are kind of new to wrestling again, but he's someone who doesn't really watch much at all,
Right.
and has criticized it in the past, and I'm like, dude, just look at this like as comedy at sometimes, and I think he was starting to enjoy a little bit of it.
Like the cartoon era of wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that kind of goes into, you know, another thing, you know, that we established pretty early on. This is a very the term family friendly came
Yes.
up. Yeah,
Yes.
and I think, and to go back to target audience, kids. Like, I think a big part of it, you know, was for, you know, children. Then the Attitude Era
No
brought
doubt.
that into more of the angsty teenager,
Yes.
you know, thing. But you know, it's an important thing to remember, just from the wrestling to the stories to the layout to the, you know, everything. Presentation. It's all aimed toward children. And again, like I said, this is a product that is played completely straight.
Yes.
There's no irony or self-awareness here.
Yep.
You know, and I said yesterday, this is a product that can't necessarily exist anymore. Yeah. I mean, I guess after the Attitude Era, you can't really go back to it. Like, you can go back to sort of the colorful nature of
As
it.
NXT 2.0 is.
But yeah, you can't remove the gravitas of, like, the stories.
Yes.
You know, you can't, you know, go back from Stone Cold, like, chugging beers and pouring, like, concrete into people's cars. And, like, yeah, you can't go back from that to this.
Which there was still story, which we'll get to some
Sure.
of that. But in general, yeah, it's pretty much like what you see is what you get.
Oh, yeah.
Surface level.
And your guys are in Halloween costumes, sort of things.
Yeah.
You know,
But it's great. I love it, you
use
know?
the circus. It's a lot like the circus. That was the word.
I said that specifically during the Beverly Brothers Bushwhackers match, which we'll get into.
Well, and like the logo, like I missed that, like that purple and yellow,
classic.
that Royal Rumble. You know, like that's, you know, all part of it too. And I just really like that. I know it's.
I do
90s,
too.
but I
And
think
we
it's
rolled
cool.
into Royal Rumble 93 for a few minutes last night. That
did.
still had it. Yeah, I
did.
think it maintained up until probably like 96-ish, 97 when things kind of started to turn. But yeah, love the logo. The graphic of like the cartoon graphic of all the wrestlers was like the thumbnail. Yeah, very cool. So let's kick it off with the new foundation, which is comprised of Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Owen Hart, defeating the Orient Express of Kato and Tanaka with Mr. Fuji, who you called
Odd Job.
Odd Job, which I couldn't agree more, in 17 minutes, 18 seconds. I do want to start by saying, and I didn't mention this last night, Kato, who was the guy in the mask from Orient Express, his real name, Paul Diamond.
Paul Diamond.
So he sure isn't from the Orient at all.
No, he's not. Well, yeah, you know, it was Vince and his sort of classic, you know, I guess still going, his sort of, you know, penchant for embracing racial stereotypes in his characters, and this was obviously, you know, talk about a product that can't exist anymore. Yeah. Like that and that name.
Yeah.
You know,
and Tanaka sure played the part. I mentioned to you, I love barefoot wrestlers. Just a different look. But let's start with talking about the new foundation, because their outfits alone is just kind of a microcosm of everything we just talked about.
Yeah. It was like wrestling attire, you know, things that are like, you know, not a lot of clothes, you know, like meant to be like comfortable pants to wear in the ring.
Baggy jacket.
Yeah. Bright colors, like the racing
checkered flag. Yeah. Very 90s, I remember you said last night. And again, like just the aesthetic really of the entire show.
Yep.
But this team itself, I mentioned to you last night, was very short-lived, and they're obviously trying to build off the success of the Hart Foundation, which was Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Bret Hart. You know, very obviously popular and successful tag team in the late 80s, early 90s, until Bret kind of did his own thing. But, they obviously weren't around too long, and Owen ended up going his own way at some point. But just interesting to see them together and, just kind of looking like a bunch of goobers in that attire.
Very goober.
Whereas the Hart Foundation, they always wore the matching pink and black, just normal wrestling attire. But, again, it was
very festive for the occasion.
Yes. So I have a note here that, again, I mentioned it already, but just that Bobby Heenan is just very nervous. He's very, very nervous for Ric Flair. A lot of that talk. Again, this match was 17 minutes, 18 seconds, which is way too long for this time and era, but it wasn't terrible. I know Will, our buddy, was kind of fed up with it after a while, but, Owen Hart specifically, when he was in there, he was certainly working his ass off to kind of make this a pretty competent match.
Right, yeah, and I feel like, with the Orient Express, they had like the sumo vibe, like the gimmick, kind of went beyond the characters and their clothes and into the wrestling style. So I think like that just kind of didn't mix, but Owen Hart definitely
he looked great,
stuck out.
But remember, one of our favorite parts was when Neidhart was in there kind of early, and I think it was Tanaka kept like running up to him and just bouncing off his shoulders, like literally like 5 times. Was classic. I think it was Gorilla Monsoon mentioned that Tanaka is a master of all the martial arts.
All of them.
Just classic.
Apparently there aren't enough martial arts to beat the new Hart Foundation.
Yeah, we get classic Gorilla Monsoon even more. Again, like we're 12 minutes in. Our buddy Will's already fed up with the match, and Gorilla's like, what a match this is! Which I think got Will cracking up, and I'm like, see, dude, this is great stuff.
Yeah, just trying to sell it. And like, it was really hard to put a finger on the momentum of it. Like, you knew when it was going to end, when it ended.
Yes.
And right before, but other than that, it was just sort of like...
Yeah, there were some... Again, I'd say the second half of the match was a lot better. Like, remember Mr. Fuji, Odd Job, ended up hitting Owen Hart with the cane. I remember you called out the camera angle, because it was so close, it's like there's no hiding this here.
Yeah, it was a pretty weak,
But then that did kind of lead to some good, like, old school heel tag team shit where the Orient Express was cutting off the ring in half and getting quick tags and double teaming. Remember the ref was kind of a big factor, like really physically trying to hold back Neidhart at point, like multiple times, which allowed them to get their double teams in. He ended up getting the hot tag at one point. At which point, one of the announcers referred to him as a bull in a china closet.
Oh, bull, yeah.
Dust
off the old cliches.
Yeah, as he'd already been knocking motherfuckers down. And I have a note here that just says this match is way too long.
Is it typically bull in a china shop?
I think it is.
Yeah, and then in a closet.
Well, that could have been it, or I just wrote it down wrong. But I think it was closet.
I remember hearing that. I was like, is that the saying? And then I just, didn't, pay it any more attention. But,
you're absolutely right.
I guess the closet could be in the shop, but whatever.
And I mean, a closet's smaller, so I guess bull in a china closet is even more crazy and intense because it's smaller space.
Yeah,
so
I guess China's so valuable that you would dedicate an entire closet
so
to
I'll take it.
Sure.
But yeah, and then the match ended with the rocket launcher, which Owen Hart was on the top, and Neidhart kind of picked him up and propelled him and got the 1, 2, 3. Again, not a bad match. Too long, but a fun little opener.
Yeah.
And then we go backstage, and you're already getting excited, thinking it's going to be Mean Gene, but not yet.
Nope.
It's his lordship, Alfred Hayes, recapping from 2 days prior, I believe, Bret Hart dropping the Intercontinental title to the Mountie at a house show in Springfield, Massachusetts, due to 104-degree fever. I can't remember exactly at the time, like, why they felt the need to do this switch and then switch the title again 2 days later, and then Bret Hart ends up winning it 2 months later at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I think there's some story behind it. But anyway, just a funny little recap with Alfred Hayes, because, like, we called it a house show. It's like, it looked like it was in a high school gym.
Oh, yeah. No,
dark footage, because it wasn't televised.
And there were, like, normal lockers, like you'd put your books in high school. and then like there was just like painted concrete on the back.
Oh, well, that's the locker room at Royal. I'm talking about the footage from the house show when the Mountie beat Bret Hart. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that with Sean Mooney here coming up.
Totally,
but just the footage from that Springfield Mass house show, like I called it, and Will didn't know what a house show was. Like, yeah, it looks like it's in someone's house. It's so small.
Oh yeah, it totally was.
But that was just to show why they are having the Mountie against Roddy Piper here. And so we have our WWF Intercontinental Championship match in which Roddy Piper defeats the Mountie with Jimmy Hart in 5 minutes 22 seconds. Quick, smooth, easy. After that first match, we needed like a quicker match for sure.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Gets the job done. I mean, really, there's not a ton to say here. Let's back up for a second, talk about the interviews.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's when you first got to see the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Yeah.
Which you maybe had seen on a show previously before, but like he had his bright colored jacket.
Yeah, with the graffiti on it.
And yelling like he's on cocaine. Come on, baby! I got the Mountie with me! He's just a maniac. The Mountie says, the Mountie always gets his man. And Jimmy Hart was popping off laughing. So they were with Sean Mooney, and now talk about kind of the locker room. So this was literally the locker room at the Knickerbocker Arena, but just the backdrop for these interviews. You kind of started talking about it earlier.
Yeah, it just was painted concrete. I think it had sort of that 90s kind of, I have a hard time describing it. You'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
But that and the, high school lockers.
Yeah, like a cheap gym locker room.
Cheap gym, yeah. And so, like, I'm sure there were tons of other places to shoot it because, like, lots of times like, they'll shoot it in the bowels or the corridors of a stadium where it's just concrete.
Yeah.
Where it definitely looks like, it's backstage.
Like a John Moxley type setup.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I thought it was really funny that they shot it there because there had to have been many other places that they could shoot stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the back. But, and they kept going back there. It was sort of the template because I think, they did the Mountie, they did a Roddy Piper promo back in there.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess in a different spot that looked just like it.
Yeah, well, and then there was the set with the Royal Rumble logo with Gene where they put that cigarette out, happens later. But yeah, there was a Roddy promo as well where he like couldn't breathe. He was like, it was really funny. But anyway, so I have my first note here. It's not paying attention, and Roddy full sprint takes out Mountie on the outside. Much more urgency in this match, as we kind of talked about, like, immediately, like, it was fast. They're only going 5 minutes, so, they kind of had to pick up the pace. There was a nice bulldog by Piper. Not a move you see a ton anymore, but one that used to be done a lot, where he got a lot of air on it. And, he ends up slapping on the sleeper hold while standing up, and then Mountie kind of goes down, and they do the arm drop 3 times, and that's it. And we've got a new Intercontinental champ.
Yeah, pretty much tighter match.
Yeah.
A little bit more athletic. I guess, there was storyline with it, and just being a singles match made it like that. I noticed there was that one bit where Roddy Piper kept going off the ropes, and then the Mountie would, like, jump over him.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the Mountie could barely clear him.
Yeah.
Like, barely. And it was like, how many times did they practice that?
Yeah.
And, like, he just knocked the Mountie over. There was just a collision of, like, groin to head.
No one wants that.
Yeah, but yeah, Roddy Piper definitely, I was excited to kind of see, obviously a pretty classic wrestler, and I thought he lived up to it.
Yeah, and he has a chance to make history later on to become the first person ever to win the Intercontinental and the World Championship in the same night. Obviously doesn't happen. But no, nice moment for Piper here in his career. I think it was the only singles title he ever won in WWF. Like I said, he drops it back to Bret Hart a couple months later at WrestleMania 8 in a great match. But yeah. So then we have his lordship Alfred Hayes again backstage with a Coliseum home video exclusive with Hulk Hogan, who cuts just kind of a classic cookie cutter Royal Rumble promo about the other guys. Anything to note here? I mean, it was just pretty standard Hulkster stuff.
It was. He wasn't screaming and
he was a little more tame.
Yeah. So like at least that was different.
It wasn't quite the let me tell you something, Mean Gene.
Yeah.
Because Gene has enough to worry about.
Oh yeah, Gene. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Little does he know.
And they have like a pretty special relationship too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like they were boys. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's get into this classic here. The next match, in which the Beverly Brothers, which I didn't even tell you this, their names are Blake and Bo.
Blake and Bo.
How about that?
How about it?
The Beverly Brothers with the genius, defeat the Bushwhackers, Butch and Luke, with Jameson in 14 minutes, 56 seconds. By God, it felt a lot longer than that. But yeah, this is well, let's talk Jameson first, because we had the backstage promo with Gene and the Bushwhackers and Jameson, and well, why don't you just kind of tell us your observations of Jameson?
Yeah, I mean, like, they I guess the Bushwhackers, because we have to draw the contrast here, because, like, they're sort of an odd couple.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be mixed together, and I'm sure, like, I don't know what the thought process was, but it ultimately wound up being a winning one. I assume this is, like, an accidental, like, you know, like, creation of,
I don't know how they got put together with this guy.
But it wound up being, like, a fun combination.
Yeah.
Something really potent, and, you know, like, the Bushwhackers, they have, like, the redneck kind of vibe, you know, the backwoods, but also they kind of reminded me of, like, people from the Flintstones, you know, like, very caveman kind
They're
of
from
thing.
New Zealand, I think I
Are
mentioned
they?
last
Okay.
night. Yeah, they do their fun walk, but Jameson, you kind of compared him to, like, a Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, yeah, very Revenge of the Nerds. You know, he had his, like, tape glasses and was just kind of very awkward, chewing on his tie, had a sock hanging out, like, definitely just, you know, I used a lot of terms like layman versus academia, because they had, the Beverly Brothers had, what's his name? The Genius.
Yep.
The Genius.
Leapin' Lanny Poffo, Macho Man's brother.
Yeah, and so they had him, but then, you know, it took me back to the Caddyshack tagline, the slobs versus the snobs.
Yeah, that's pretty good, yeah.
That's a lot more accurate.
For sure, and I mean, we're gonna get a bigger slob a little bit later on to talk about.
Sure.
But no, that's a good way to put it, and yeah, if we thought the first match was too long, 15 minutes was way too long.
But this
for
one was far more entertaining, because the Bushwhackers, you know, they came out, did the little dance, they got the pop from the crowd, and the crowd was much more engaged, and that made it, like, markedly better than the first one. The first one was just very throwaway.
I will say, though, yes, from a wrestling standpoint, the first one was better. Entertainment standpoint, this was, I think they still could have cut off 5 minutes, because, like, when they're in the middle of the match, and the Bushwhackers are terrible wrestlers.
Well,
they're fun and they're entertaining, but, like, they're not good wrestlers.
Oh, yeah, and they gave so much time to, like, Jameson versus the Genius.
Yeah, there was a lot of that
which was very
interaction
entertaining.
outside. And, you know, got its payoff at the end. Let's see. I've got a few notes. Oh, well, let's mention also, because you've never seen the Bushwhackers just licking children.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly.
Which, like, even pre-COVID, like, whenever people's saliva is, like, some sort of a, you know, deadly agent, it's like, man, like, you know, like, you can, like if you did that now, like, my God.
The lawsuits.
And everything. And like...
In 1992, these kids were wanting it.
Yeah, that, for a product that's, like, aimed toward kids, where that's their target audience, like, for them to, like, have that, you know, like, seems pretty, like, effective and successful.
Get licked in the face.
Like, you know, as much as we, you know, kind of, you know, criticize this opening segment, like, I think kids got what they fucking wanted out of it, you know, for sure.
A lot of licking.
They wanted to get licked in the face.
And then the Bushwhackers in the midst of the match were biting someone's ass.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
Just running around. I have Genius approaches Jameson, and Jameson throws what I think was bread.
Yeah.
Like he was just eating a piece of bread or
I
something.
think he had it in his pocket or something.
Yeah. And the Bushwhacker did their gimmick where they were both at one point like on their hands and knees, and both Beverly Brothers like fell over top of them. But again, this is when I mentioned like this feels like the circus.
Yeah.
And the crowd, you know, again, it was getting pretty big pops. I have playing pranks. There was an eye poke. We see about 10 minutes into the match that Jameson's shoe is taped as well. I have this match is also too long.
Just full of detail.
Yeah.
Full of idiosyncratic detail that gave it a lot of personality.
The Genius slapped Jameson at one point. Then we get the battering ram by the Bushwhackers. And then I have here, I didn't even see how it ended, but the Beverly Brothers won.
Yes.
And the Bushwhackers get the last laugh because they end up hitting both Beverly Brothers with their battering rams. And I know you walked out of the room for the post-match stuff. But they pull the Genius in the ring, and they're about to beat him up. But they're like, "All right, Jameson needs to get his revenge."
Yeah.
And he's like so confused and doesn't know what to do, and he's like winding up like he's gonna hit him, and it's like taking way too long, and then he just kicks him in the shin, which is pretty funny. And that's kind of that, and they all celebrate. So they lose the match, but they were the ultimate winners, I think. But horrible wrestling match, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Again, just a microcosm of kind of everything we talked about in the Open.
Yeah, pretty much nailed what I was going for, an extreme version of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then prior to our next match, we had a promo, I believe it was Mean Gene, with the tag team champions, the Legion of Doom, who... Have you seen them before? I mean, I don't think we'd ever watched them together.
I've seen neither of these teams, neither the Legion.
But you got to see the classic, "Tell 'em, Hawk." Well, and then it kind of sounds like Lynch there.
Well, yeah, kind of.
And then they're, what a rush! But
they were wearing those like football pads.
So that's been that was their trademark forever. Yeah, that's where that all came from. Those pads with the spikes. So we have our World Tag Team Championship match in which the natural disasters of Earthquake and Typhoon, again with your boy Jimmy Hart, defeat the Legion of Doom by countout in 9 minutes 24 seconds. So the title does not change hands. I think this is maybe when I started heating up food, and I don't really have any notes on this, and there's really not a ton to say.
No, me neither. I have
just a bunch of big. I mean, obviously, Earthquake and Typhoon are about 500 pounds a pop.
Yeah, they just they're wearing those big unitards with like the big like belt, like a pretty classic. Big guy.
Yep.
Like, what's his name? Bronson Reed was a big wearer of that type of ring attire.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, not much to write home here. I know the natural disasters do end up winning the tag titles at some point. I think what is to write home a little bit more is, and again, it's a count out. I don't even remember how it happened, but then they were upset that they didn't win the titles, and that's when we had Earthquake just really looking like a slob.
Oh, yeah, just, very like...
Just spit
everywhere. Yeah. Like those guys are just...
I remember Will was just repulsed.
I wonder, do you think Bear Country and AEW was like influenced by them? I bet they were. I bet that was like the model that they were like, hey, we can be successful. Remember, natural disaster.
Well, and I told you were unaware that Typhoon was the Shockmaster.
Yeah,
3 years later, whatever, in WCW. So I showed you that one, which is a classic.
Yeah.
You're about to be shocked. And then Ric Flair. Oh, God. But yeah, they were just screaming and going nuts after the match, and spits flying everywhere, and just so many close-ups on Earthquake's face, too. Like, he's bald, he's got this gross beard, he's 500 pounds.
Yeah.
But, it was
all about it.
A good gimmick at the time in wrestling. I mean, it worked.
Yeah, I mean, these guys were at the top of the ladder for, like, tag teams,
Yeah.
So, like, this was it. This was the thing.
Absolutely.
Tag team-wise.
So, we're about to go into the Royal Rumble match, but there's a series of different interviews and promos that kind of lead into it, and you got to think at this point, what do you think's going through Gene's head?
I don't know. Like, I think he, I wonder if he sort of just, smelled smoke or something like that, because this is back in 92 where there was probably a smoking section in the arena.
Probably.
So I wonder if he walked by it and he was just had the biggest distaste for it.
Like he's already just primed to tell someone to put it out.
Yeah, just walk by it and just, had to walk by it for some reason. Probably walked by it earlier, didn't want to walk by it, and then someone came on, like, the radio and was like, hey, Gene, we need you over in, like, Wing 2A. And he's like, oh, that's by the smoking area,
You got to think, do you think Gene fired down some cigs back in the day?
He seems like a cigar guy.
Yeah.
But, like...
I bet he fired him down.
I bet he maybe has quit by this point.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, once you, smoke, I feel like there's always kind of like that, like...
And if you're an interviewer, like, you don't want your voice to get all fucked up, too. And if you're firing down so many cigs, that could happen.
Well, then we thought about whoever it was who lit up the cigarette. Probably at this point was like, man, I really need to go smoke.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Royal Rumble's about to be in. Let's just wait until the end. You'll be able to fire up a cigarette once it's all over.
We also, because it was this promo, it was Sean Mooney interviewing the natural disasters, and again, all the yelling, and you could tell he's stressed.
Yep.
Sean Mooney is stressed after this, so that kind of led us to the hypothesis of, is it Mooney?
Is it Mooney?
Because, you could see he sure needed a cigarette after this interview, so... Yeah, we'll get a little more into everything around this soon, but I just wanted to get Mean Gene's temperature because he interviews Piper here actually. Mentioning what I said earlier about him having the chance to win both titles. Then we get Shawn Michaels with Sean Mooney. They show the breakup between he and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers, then the Barbershop Classic. Then we had another Coliseum home video exclusive with Lord Alfred Hayes and Ric Flair. This is where Flair says that he's number 3 in the match.
Yeah, which was pretty good, seeding of that. Because I don't think we watched that before.
No. But what it is,
helps prime you for what happens.
Yes, but that was not known at the time. Yeah. So Heenan, who has the reaction when he comes out at 3, doesn't know that yet. Wow. Obviously. So that's just something I think they put in the post production of this. You know it then. And then there's just a series of rapid fire promos. We've got Macho Man, Sid Justice, our boy the Repo Man, who says, "What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine too."
Remember when I called him Ryback? Yeah, I was like, I remember in L.A. when you talked to Ryback. I was getting my Greg Goldman associate.
Yeah. Repo Man, good friend of ours, absolutely.
It's Ryback is what, 10 years, years.
That was 2012.
Yeah. Wow.
So 20 years later. But British Bulldog, Jake the Snake Roberts, which more to come on that. Yeah. Then Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect are together, and again, I think they're in the same spot where it happens. So you're here it is.
There it is, yeah.
And then The Undertaker with Paul Bearer and Hulk Hogan. I guess, do we want to get into it?
Let's rumble.
The 30-man Royal Rumble match. We have the Fink, Howard Finkel, going over the rules. They bring out WWF President Jack Tunney.
Yeah, just the guy. The award, the trophy.
Yeah, the on-screen Vince character before Vince played himself, really, but was just the most non-confrontational.
How long did he stay with? Did eventually Vince just be like, "I'll do it myself"?
Vince. So Tunney was probably around from late '80s to early to mid 90s, and then Gorilla Monsoon became the president in character. Wow. And I know he did work was pretty high up in the company beyond just being an announcer, but he became the on-screen president for 94, 95, 96, I'd say, because remember, all this time Vince is an announcer.
Right.
He's not doing this show, but he's still and he's the lead announcer from 93, 94 up until the Montreal Screwjob, pretty much. So, he started becoming that character of Vince, slowly. Bret Hart really kind of started bringing it out of him prior to the Screwjob. The Screwjob happened, and I think...
Was he on commentary during the Screwjob?
Was he? I think he was, and he got up and called for the... He may not have been. He may have just been down there. It's been a while since I've seen that.
When we watch it, we'll...
Yeah. You know what? I don't think he was.
Support for Brain Buster Boys is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Woo. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Join over 4 million men worldwide. How could 4 million men be wrong? Yeah. Who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code BBB. That's code BBB at manscaped.com.
Well, why don't you tell our listeners and friends about some other products? Because we've really hit on a big handful of them. So what else you got?
We have the deodorant Zero Residue for Manscaped. This is one of their newer products. It's some pretty exciting stuff. It comes in sort of the cylinder shape. Roll it up. It's got that really kind of nice sort of classic Manscaped smell that you get from the crop preserver. Good stuff, sticks around all day. You don't really feel the smell wearing away like you would with cheaper deodorants. This is a good product. This is a newer thing. I do believe they have it in spray form as well, if you're into that. Nice. I'm more of a deodorant stick kind of guy. I always have been. So this is the route I went, and this is the route you should go if you're interested in deodorant. Manscaped.com, code BBB for 20% off and free shipping of this bad little boy.
There you go.
Speaking of misbehaving little boys, actually not misbehaving. This thing's actually been well behaved since I got it in the mail. But for those of you who can't really grow a beard like me, and you're somebody who's always used, straight razors your whole life, whether they be just the disposable blue ones, which for me, up until now, that's been me, just using those cheap disposable razors, because I shave one or two times a week, and pretty much look clean shaven outside of my mustache here. So I have had the pleasure trying Manscaped's The Plow 2.0.
Wow.
This is their face safety razor, single blade, double edged. It comes with the razor that looks, it kind of has sort of a very like old school classic vibe. It's metal, it's pretty heavy, so it's not.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, it's not something that you could like easily lose, like a cheap rinky-dink plastic razor. But it also comes with 3 blades in cute little envelopes like this. No joke.
Well, they can't see it.
Well, they're very cute envelopes. Trust me.
They are.
I'm a good judge of character when it comes to envelopes. Pretty easy. You just kind of unscrew it, put the razor in, screw it back, and then you have a double bladed kind of shave for it. So for guys like me who just don't really have a lot of facial hair, and like the Lawnmower 4.0 was great for down there, but up here, something a little bit more low key, is good for me.
Yeah, and then aside from that, I know my dad ordered some lip balm from Manscaped, and then there's also your normal products like body wash. There's 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. There is a groin wash. There is a groin shaving gel. There's a foot deodorant. So all kinds of things offered by the wonderful folks at Manscaped. Even though we've just kind of been hitting on a few of them thus far, wanted to take the time to talk about more of their wonderful products. Manscaped.com, promo code BBB. For free shipping and 20% off all products.
And who will thank you?
Your balls.
Yeah. If they had a face and mouth, they would probably say it, but now you just can't.
All right, Rumble time, in which Nature Boy Ric Flair defeats, I'm not going to rate all the names, I feel like I've done that before, 29 other superstars in 62 minutes and 2 seconds to win the Royal Rumble and become the WWF World Champion. I can't talk.
He became world.
He became world. Do we want to talk about the whole Rumble first and then get to it? Because I feel like I said at the beginning, like the anticipation had never been more real to me. Even though I've seen this match and that promo probably 10 times. Sure. It's been a lot. I watch it probably at least once a year. So we start with the British Bulldog and Ted DiBiase. I believe Bulldog chucked him out pretty quick, which this was after, I believe the year prior, it might have been 1990, DiBiase was in there like 40-something minutes, was known for it. And then as the audience, or we already know, but Bobby Heenan doesn't know, number 3 is Ric Flair. Yeah. And Heenan starts losing it, yelling, "Damn it!" And he's like, "I can't be objective for this." And as we talked, it kind of sets the stage for this whole match and the gold on commentary of just Heenan absolutely losing his mind throughout the entirety, freaking out anytime Flair comes even close to getting eliminated, which is a lot. Yes. He's dangling over the ropes so many times. And then Gorilla Monsoon, God love him, so many times he's like, "Brain, how many times do I have to tell you? Nobody who has ever drawn numbers 1 through 5 has been there in the end." Yep. Which is classic.
Ric Flair went to smash all kinds of records.
Yes.
That are still unbroken today?
I believe in terms of length in the match, it's probably been broken at some point, but I think it held for a while. Someone's definitely broken it. I don't remember, but he definitely set the record for longest time in. It was just under an hour. But yeah, anywho, I'd have to do a little more research on that. But yeah, just great stuff. We get, Flair in early and it becomes the story.
What was interesting for me this time was because last time it was, you pointed out this is the story with Flair. I kind of knew what was going to happen, so I didn't feel like I needed to pay attention to him as much. I didn't need to pay attention to the moments where he was dangling over the ropes and he was almost out, like the 5 or 6 times they did that. I got to watch everybody else. And that was interesting to me. I don't know. I kind of enjoyed just kind of the colorfulness, just seeing all these other people, paying attention to them.
Yeah, because, again, it's just great shit through and through. Like, yes, obviously Flair and Heenan are the catalysts for everything. But, yeah, there's just a lot of fun stuff that goes on. And, I mean, I'm just going to get it out there. Him drawing number 3, this is not fair to Flair.
No, it's not
which, again, Heenan says about 1,000,000 times, cursing, going nuts. Number 4 is Jerry Saggs of the Nasty Boys. Number 5 is Haku, which Haku, who I mentioned, he was part of the Heenan family, and he comes in and starts helping Ric Flair, and then he turns against him, and Bobby's like, what the hell? Yeah. Just so funny. Number 6 is Shawn Michaels. I've just got this up here, so may as well just fire him out. Number 7 is Tito Santana, which we get our kind of racism here with the Heenan calling him the flying jalapeno and talks about something making guacamole. Or it's Tito Santana as El Matador.
Oh, okay,
was his character at the time, but he was making guacamole. Yeah. And I told you, like, it was always a classic Jesse the Body Ventura. He would only call Tito Santana Chico.
Really?
And refer to him selling chimichangas down. Like, again, just blatant.
Wow.
But again, it's a sign of the times.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
like
just
all they know about Hispanic and Latino culture is just food.
Yeah.
Like literally all food references. Like, geez.
It's insane. I know I have written down here, so I'm actually using my notes from the last time we reviewed the show.
Yeah, we dug in and found like notes from.
Yeah, I literally have my notes from a year ago, my handwritten notes, which is tight. I didn't cover everything, but I've got a recap up here too.
Yeah.
British Bulldog got a few early eliminations. Number 8 is the Barbarian. And number 9 is the Texas Tornado, which he did the tornado punch on Ric Flair, and we get our first of many Flair flops in the Rumble, where he kind of does the walk for a few steps and fucking face plants. And then at number 10, the Repo Man.
Who had a great showing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he gets 2 eliminations.
He walks all like hunched over.
Yeah, hunched over, walk. Took him a minute to get in the ring. He's hiding behind the ref at one point.
Well, it's interesting they called him the Repo Man, because a Repo Man is like, that's like a legal thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Like the bank sent someone to like repossess something. You look like a robber.
A bandit. Yeah, I know.
Like an Old West kind of bandit.
Yep.
like Monopoly.
It is like a normal. I think of Happy Gilmore. You know, the guy in the suit is like, we have to repossess your grandmother's house, but not a bandit with a Zorro mask on,
sneaking around like he's trying to steal something.
I know that's kind of like what the gimmick became, is that he is like a robber and a thief.
Yeah.
So I guess that it wasn't a true repo. He would repo by stealing.
Yeah.
But he ends up he takes out numbers 11 and 12.
Yep.
He takes out numbers 11 and 12, which is Greg the Hammer Valentine and Nikolai Volkov. And I didn't point this out last night, but I want to mention that the commentators mentioned Greg the Hammer Valentine. He was also in either 91 or 92 for like 47 minutes. And me and my brother always loved this line growing up. Gorilla Monsoon's like, yeah, it takes him that long just to get warmed up. And he got chucked out pretty quick. So Repo Man takes out the Hammer and Volkov. It's like, he's like a glorified jobber, and he gets 2 eliminations. Yeah. Like, what a fucking performance.
What a big Rumble for him.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. And then at 13 is your boy, your favorite from Survivor Series 98, the Big Boss Man.
The Big Boss Man comes out in like sort of his like street cop attire, like his like, I'm manning a crosswalk, hey kids, you can cross now.
The corrections officer from Cobb County, Georgia.
Yeah, no, and like definitely like in the Attitude Era, he adopted the more, as they called, SWAT team January 6th attire, but like this was kind of a little bit more. Kind of like a little bit more of like an innocent looking cop thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how like a cop would be in a cartoon.
Exactly. Yeah, like your like standard cop outfit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of like the outfit you would wear when you like kick down somebody's door.
Yeah, he's got the nightstick always.
Yeah, which like it's kind of funny to think like you went from like Officer Barbarati. And like, who's the cop in The Simpsons? Like
man, it's been a long time since I've watched
those two kind of cops to like
Chief Wiggum.
to SWAT.
Which he was in the corporation and everything. Repo Man is unfortunately eliminated pretty quickly by Boss Man, but again, for time in the ring, what an impact! I'm being serious too. Like, he was very entertaining. He gets 2 eliminations. Just what a performance!
Well, and you notice, like in Royal Rumbles, lots of times, like whenever characters wrestlers don't have a lot to do, they kind of recede into the corners a little bit, and they kind of get in these, like, they kind of like push and shove.
Not Repo Man.
Yeah, not Repo Man was bouncing around the ring, getting people out,
sneaking around.
Yeah, because they'll put people in those corners to be like, okay, they're not a threat right now to be tossed out.
Yep.
So you can forget about him for a little bit.
Yep.
And then Repo Man was allowed to be front and center for a little bit.
Love it.
Yeah.
What a guy. Then Flair eliminates British Bulldog and Texas Tornado pretty quickly, which nice run for Bulldog at number 1. Got some eliminations. And then it's Flair versus Boss Man. I have a line here that Heenan says, "I need oxygen." And then we have the absolutely horrible elimination of the Boss Man, where he just jumps over the rope, kind of gets stuck on it, and then just flops himself out.
Over,
Awful. So Flair is alone in the ring, and Heenan starts cheering, thinking he won. Obviously, he knows that he didn't. And then out at number 15, which I said, is it Macho Man? I knew it was someone that was a factor. Has to be in a situation like this. And it's Roddy Piper. And Heenan again. This isn't fair to Flair. And then some nice stuff between those two. Get an eye poke from Roddy, the airplane spin, the crowd's going nuts. He puts him in the sleeper. And eventually, number 16, Jake the Snake Roberts comes in. We'll hold off on our tangent until the Macho Man comes in. But we're going to go deep on a tangent for a little bit. Jake hits the short arm clothesline on Flair. We get another. This is definitely not fair to Flair. Flair puts the figure 4 on Jake. And then we get Hacksaw Jim Duggan at number 17. Toting his 2x4. But I watched this show at a friend's several years ago, and his dad was watching it with us, and he was just geeking out seeing Hacksaw Jim Duggan come down, toting the 2x4, going, "Hello!" Just something I'll never forget.
And the 2x4 was gone before it entered the ring. Just discarded.
And then in actually a nice note, Hacksaw Jim Duggan was the winner of the inaugural Royal Rumble in 1988. How about that? It was only 20 men then.
Really?
But and then number 18 is the tax man, Erwin R. Shyster, IRS, who is the father of Bray Wyatt. Who I probably told you last year at this time. And then we get another Flair flop. We got Superfly Jimmy Snuka coming in at 19, just absolutely shredded. He's kind of on the tail end of his career here. The Undertaker in at number 20 with Paul Bear. He's eliminated very quickly by The Undertaker very quickly eliminates Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Undertaker is choking Flair. Heenan's freaking out. And then at number 21, huge pop for Macho Man Randy Savage, who fucking beelines to the ring solely to go after Jake the Snake Roberts, because they'd had a feud that had been simmering. And before we get there, I just want to mention that he goes for him. Jake leaves the ring. Macho Man jumps over the ropes and out.
So
eliminating himself technically.
But obviously that wasn't the plan.
Because then Undertaker tries dragging him in like multiple times, and then he breaks away again and beats up Jake again.
And I think even like the commentary is like, is he out?
Yeah. Because then I mentioned to you, I'm like, there's no, because he ends up in the final 4. So obviously that wasn't supposed to happen. But let's take a little tangent here, because I mentioned to you that Jake the Snake and Macho Man had a big rivalry. At one point, Jake's snake bit Macho Man's arm. It was a whole big thing. Kids crying, freaking out. And I'm like, I think it happened at this show called This Tuesday in Texas.
And then
which you just fucking lost it. And I knew you would just love that show name.
Well, it was not like a immediate gut busting laugh, but it was like a chuckle that just persisted.
I feel like still hasn't gone away for you. When I texted you today, you gave me a big fat LOL.
Well, we even had what just minutes ago, what appeared to be a pretty a good tweet where whenever I put the logo of it, which is just a star and then just some normal serif text this Tuesday, and then Texas in script.
Yeah.
Just so funny. But yeah, just like, and also like knowing that like WWE tried to make that a pay-per-view, that was the
on a
best title
Tuesday.
they had. They were like, yeah, like, you know, alliteration's what we got.
Your inaugural Tuesday pay-per-view. Let's call it this Tuesday in Texas.
That was so poorly bought and viewed that they didn't attempt another pay-per-view until 2004.
Yep. Taboo Tuesday.
Taboo Tuesday.
Which eventually became Cyber Sunday, which 2006 Cyber Sunday was in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
So Cincinnati is part of the This Tuesday in Texas lineage, although I do want to say that the snake bite actually happened 8 days prior to this Tuesday
was
in
that
Texas.
on Raw? Or was that
Probably
before
just
Raw?
some like yeah, they didn't have Raw then, so it was just, they'd have shows called like Superstars and Primetime Wrestling and all these.
Were they weekly?
Sometimes. I honestly don't even know like the history of all of it, but yeah, some of them were.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the snake bite happened 8 days prior. The match between the two happened at this Tuesday in Texas, but I mean the whole from here on out in the Rumble, like we just kept talking about this Tuesday in Texas and laughing about it.
That bug bit us.
Looking up the card, and I were like, maybe we should just review, because I've never seen the show.
Yeah, and now we're gonna have to. Now we've pretty much slated ourselves to do it, which we totally should.
Like, there's not many, if any, like pay-per-views, because there was only 4 a year back
I would
then.
imagine like Macho Man has to come out with his arm bandage from the snake, which like I guess I can't imagine them doing that anymore, because like I'm sure like it probably wouldn't even be PETA. It would probably be a legitimate group that would be like, yeah, animal, like you can't like piss a snake off enough to bite somebody.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, like that was a pretty big snake. It was like probably a ball python or something like that.
Yeah, it's big, devenomized, but yeah, I mean, like I told you,
but
like
still, those
it's a real snake
went
bite.
into his bicep.
Yeah.
And, like that's, you know, pretty. And I mean, one would imagine they had to have an animal handler come out there.
I'm sure,
and
yeah.
do that. Jake the Snake, you know, couldn't do. But also, like Jake the Snake was like picking it up and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and it's
he
like,
always would throw it around and.
Well, and I've also heard like snakes, you know, make pretty good pets for many reasons. One, because they're cold-blooded, they like to kind of curl on you.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of pythons, particularly like Burmese pythons, which are the ones that are all over the Everglades in Florida, because all these people who own them just let them out, and it was the perfect climate for them to thrive. And now they've risen to the top of the food chain. Another tangent, rivaling the alligator.
Wow!
Like both it and the alligator are at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
In swampland, Florida.
How about that?
Yeah. So. Whoa. How
Yeah,
did we get here?
interesting.
This Tuesday in Texas.
This
like,
Tuesday in
the
Texas.
things it does to a mind.
Oh my goodness!
But yeah.
Which the main event
It was in San Antonio, right?
Yes,
yeah,
yes. The main event was Hulk Hogan defeating The Undertaker for the world title.
Yeah,
which I told you I meant to do a little research before this and didn't. But whenever we review this Tuesday in Texas, we'll get the whole scoop.
Well,
but
I was also surprised the Undertaker, you know, was that big that early on. Like that gimmick was an instant hit, and he had already won the title in the early
at
90s.
Survivor Series 91, he won it, and then Hogan wins it back at this Tuesday in Texas, and then somehow the title between this Tuesday in Texas and Royal Rumble is vacated. I can't remember. I think there was just like too much chicanery involved in all the matches, and like I told you, Ric Flair had something to do with it too, because he came in as the quote-unquote real world champ, brought the belt from WCW. They blur it out in just a hilarious manner.
And we said that last night. Ric Flair was only in WWF for a tiny period of time.
Like a
before he
year,
goes back.
like a year and a half. Yeah,
which,
not long.
Do you know the reasoning behind it? Was it a contract dispute?
I think
or
part of
something,
it was, I mentioned last night, part of it I think had to do with the fact that they just could never make the highly anticipated Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan match work.
And so like that was a big
I think that was a big part of it, and he's just like, fuck this, I'm out. And I think maybe just probably like creative differences with Vince, and you know, I don't know, but I'm sure there were a lot of factors. And then he didn't come back until 2002, probably after WCW. And he was always obviously
he was
NWA.
in the last match, the Sting and Ric Flair.
Yeah, he was just the NWA. He was the face of NWA WCW, but. Like I said, that was the most anticipated match in the world was Hogan Flair, and I think they did it like once, non-televised, and again, just for whatever reason, it never happened.
Yeah.
But anywho, back to the Rumble. Number 22 is the Berserker, who's a just monster. Remember, he kind of bumbled his way down. He's like, yes, just absurd. We have Virgil at 23, who I literally don't even remember seeing last night because I think we were just so deep into this Tuesday in Texas
Yeah.
talk.
No, I mean, it took us until like the Final Four to get out of that. Yeah.
Colonel Mustafa at 24. And then we have the guy who is the current record holder for the longest time until Flair breaks it in about 10 minutes, the model Rick Martel. So yeah, they're like, could he win this? Because he's already lasted 50 minutes. Yeah. It's like, no, he's not going to. Let's see. And then next is Hulk Hogan at 26. Yeah. Of course, a huge pop. He had won, I didn't mention this, he won 1990 and 1991. Okay. So
for a trifecta.
Probably a pretty good chance he doesn't get the repeat. You know, he kind of does his big, you know, he takes out a few different people, and obviously is just a big factor. Yeah. He chucks out Hacksaw, Virgil, and then at 27, speaking of alligators, the alligator man, yep. Skinner, who would come in with fucking dips in his mouth and spit all over people. Again, what's with the spitting on people and licking people?
See, I think it's a kid thing too. You know, for some reason, I think
kids would do that.
Yeah, or I think kids think that's, you know, some sort of like a funny way to like assault or
and
like that. Yeah.
the Bushwhackers bit. You know, I'll admit I was a bit of a biter as a kid. Like I would bite my brother when I was young.
That's how you get the best of someone.
When you're a little brother,
bigger and stronger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was definitely a fighter. So number 28, Sergeant Slaughter. You know, this is definitely kind of obviously Hogan coming in like really brought the energy again. But there was a bit of a lull in between like the Macho Man Jake stuff and this. Undertaker obviously coming in, buffed it up a little bit. But yeah, Sergeant Slaughter at 28. We've got a Skinner elimination. And then 29, we have Sid Justice before he became Psycho, clearly. And it was actually a babyface here for a very brief period of time.
Psycho was the name of the wrestler, right?
He became, so he was just Sid Justice here, then he became just Psycho Sid.
Psycho, okay.
Psycho Sid.
For a second there, I thought you meant he went psycho, like he actually went crazy.
Kind of, but they spelled Psycho S-Y-C-H-O.
I bet Vince loved it. Why do you keep the P on there? Yeah. You don't even say it. Psycho.
But I think I mentioned last night, he's actually who... So Undertaker, he won the belt at Survivor Series 91, didn't win it again until WrestleMania 13 in 97. Wow. So like, I guess 5.5 years apart, he beat Psycho Sid for it in the main event of WrestleMania 13.
Wow.
So number 30, we've got the Warlord here. I've got right before that a Heenan quote saying, "If Flair wins, I'll never do anything wrong again." And I have here, he was pleading earlier because Undertaker was about to eliminate Flair. So it looks like there's 9 men left, and Sid eliminates Slaughter, and Hogan and Sid eliminate the Warlord together. And then Sid eliminates Piper and Martel simultaneously. So we're down to our final 4, which... At this point, we're probably focused in again, and oh boy, we're getting close to Mean Gene's fine moment, my oh my. The final 4 are Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Sid, and Macho Man Randy Savage, so obviously he wasn't supposed to be eliminated. A nice quartet here to end it off. Let's see here, so... Macho Man is the first one eliminated, so it's down to Flair, Hogan, and Sid. And remember, Sid kind of just, out of nowhere, just flips Hogan out. It's holy shit, that's a big deal. So it's just Flair and Sid, and pretty quick, like, Hogan just complaining, like, well, which is so funny. Like, there's so much shit about this. Like, Hogan was obviously, like, the biggest babyface in the company forever. Yeah. But, like, he was almost more of a heel. Yeah. Like, a lot of his actions, like, this is very heely here.
Like staying out and complaining.
And, like, ultimately grabbing Sid's hand and ripping him out.
Yeah.
With Flair's help, and then that happens, and then we get Heenan, yes, 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 and the match is over at 62 minutes, 2 seconds. Ric Flair is your new WWF champion. Chaos ensues in the ring and is about to be backstage. Yes. Anything before we go backstage? Anything? Just general thoughts on the Rumble? Anything that I mean, you already kind of talked about watching it a little differently this time, but any just final thoughts here?
Like it seemed like one thing I noticed when watching it and watching more current Royal Rumbles, it's the shooting format and the layout's still kind of the same. The characters have changed, and the tone of wrestling has become different. But I really appreciated this because it let the silliness kind of take like be the face of it. But then when it kind of came down to the end, you still had your big wrestlers, your big characters. So for something whenever you watch older wrestling, the product definitely doesn't hold up to kind of modern.
Yep.
This I think is something that does. And I think you can just see it just in sort of the layout and the
and just the story, like we mentioned, with Flair coming in at 3, Heenan on commentary. Again, that's everything. And the way Heenan and Gorilla both play it up. I remember it's mentioned multiple times about how Brain's career will be over if Flair doesn't win. Yeah. And at one point he mentions that whoever wins is going to be a millionaire, which is just a geek.
Not getting money. Yeah.
But again, I don't think I even sold it enough just how great Bobby Heenan was. Yeah. And Gorilla, too, in his role. They were the perfect duo, one of the best commentary teams of all time. But I mean it, this match is one of the best commentated matches in the history of wrestling in terms of, just adding to what's going on in the ring. Imagine if it was just Gorilla and, I don't know, if it was Jesse the Body Ventura, who was he had no affiliation with Flair, it just wouldn't have been the same. But it was just the perfect storm of all the elements just made this, such a memorable match, and why I watch it at least once a year, and one that, hell, I've probably seen this 20 times in the last, I don't know, decade or less.
Right.
So, it's a very, very memorable one. Like I said, my favorite Rumble of all time.
Yeah, I can see that. It strikes the balance between, decent wrestling and, entertainment value.
Absolutely.
Something that's, pretty accessible.
With that constant thread running throughout and being reminded on commentary the entire time.
He was the central figure, Ric
Absolutely.
Flair was. And, the match made no it was always that.
He breaks the record at 59 minutes 26 seconds. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact there's been people that last over an hour, no doubt about it. But again, at the time, and like I said, you mentioned earlier that Flair's WWF career was short-lived.
Yeah, and he went
this was definitely the highlight. WrestleMania 8 against Macho Man, that's a match. That's a match that was one that I remember as a kid. We rented WrestleMania 8 from Blockbuster, and one that cracked me open as a wrestling fan. Flair's all bloody, his white bloody hair. Yeah. I love the Macho Man. He ends up winning. We may have to watch that one at some point. But this 3 to 4 month run was just so gold from Flair. So,
do you want to know who has been the longest entrant?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I just pulled it up.
Yeah.
Royal Rumble 2002. Triple H, 69 minutes, 22 seconds.
Wow.
That's been a long-ass match.
Yeah, he won that one, too. I'm trying to think what point he came in. But, yeah, damn.
Must have been early.
Yeah.
5 or below.
Interesting. All right, are you ready to head backstage?
I don't know if anyone ever can be at this point.
Okay, very good. Ric Flair. World. Put that cigarette out.
And again, I mentioned it multiple times, the anticipation is risen. We know exactly what's going to happen here. We start with your boy, Jack Tunney, and Mean Gene Okerlund, and obviously the 3 rascals, Flair, Heenan, and Mr. Perfect. Tunney presents the WWF title to Ric Flair, and he gives an incredible promo with the tear in my eye. This is the greatest moment of my life. The only way you can stay number one is to be number one, and this is the only title that makes you number one. And I think he says something like, when you're the champion of the WWF, you rule the world, which is tight. And again, just it's getting and I guess this is kind of when we talked about like when is the cigarette lit?
Yeah, probably close to that. Like
probably around that, like 2/3, 3/4
you
of the
see
way.
Gene like looking out of the corner.
Yeah,
of
multiple. Like we never watched this harder. Like we were like a fucking hawk.
Yeah.
Just like looking at Gene, and like you can see a few times he does start looking over. So
it has to be during the Ric Flair promo.
Absolutely.
You know, because like he was taught, like he didn't have like a moment to do it, and then he had to go back into character.
Correct.
And then he just didn't. He just could not put up with it.
So we're like, at what point does he start seeing the smoke?
Yeah.
It's like, and then I think we had pinpointed it, like, that's it.
Yeah.
And then, like, obviously he just can't break character.
Someone to the left of the stage.
He just, he doesn't think he's going to break character.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get
I wonder if he thinks somebody's got to tell that guy to put it out.
Yeah.
And then nobody else stepped up to the plate.
And then we get the classic line from Heenan and Perfect that are like, we're not the kind of guys that said we told you so, but we told you so.
That chummy laugh.
And then it's Ric Flair.
Okay, very good.
Oh, yeah, okay, very good.
Ric Flair.
You have made world.
And then, like, away from the microphone.
Couldn't have turned his head harder. Which, again, that's why it's like it had to have been lit already.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's not just catching them, lighting it up.
Knew where the person was and just knew he just had to do it.
Yeah.
But, like, the show was literally had a minute left.
Yeah.
And just could not tolerate it
And
anymore.
just, again, the biggest, hardest turn head on a swivel and put that cigarette out. Why don't you give me one?
Put that
cigarette out. God damn it. And then
just went right back to it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, and then I have, at least on the TJRwrestling.net recap
What do they say about it?
Well, he's geeking about. He's like, me and Gene had a classic line too. Put that cigarette out. So random, but it always made me laugh. And then he says, Flair repeated that it was the greatest moment of his life. Flair said for guys like Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Roddy Piper, and Sid Justice, now it's Ric Flair, so you all have to pay homage to the man. Woo! Flair leaves with his buddies. Gene signs. So, yeah, he has to recover
sign off,
and do the sign-off of the entire show. Like, we're done with...
I bet whoever it was had to have been shook.
Yeah. How could... Yeah, this is live television.
Yeah.
And then, John also says here... the tear in my eye part is what I remember most, but then I always laugh at me and Gene yelling about putting a cigarette out, too. That was so great. I'll never forget it, and it never gets old watching it.
Oh, never.
Never.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever. So, I don't know if do we want to talk about who it was?
I've thought about it.
I know Sean Mooney is one. Yeah, it's like, and I think we tried to look like, I don't think it's known.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, there has to have been... Like, could there have been a photographer who was, like, photographing that from the back?
Yeah.
Probably not. Like, I would imagine, like, there's got to be some sort of account. Like, somebody has had to have unearthed it, and there's got to be a way where, even if you look it up somewhere on the internet, like, somebody has to be at least, saying that there's a definitive answer, even though we may never know.
I don't want to know.
Me neither. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think I maybe brought it up when we reviewed it last year. Like, it's probably someone, like, in Flair's posse or Flair's like... It's a celebratory cigarette, obviously.
Close enough for him to, like, notice it and for him to like, be able to say it away from the microphone.
Yeah, and obviously whoever it was didn't give a fuck. Like, Flair just wins the title. It's a celebration. We're backstage, just fires it up. And like we talked about last night, whoever this person is has backstage access.
Yeah.
So they could clearly have gone outside at any point to rip this thing.
Or there had to have been a smoking section in the arena.
Yes.
1992.
Yeah, you meant, yeah.
Like, it was there.
So insane. Yeah, just one of the great. Again, something I remember watching as a kid, me and my brother dying all the time. We talked about it's just... It's so good.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, you know, like, the first time you don't expect it and you're like, what was that? But then... Every time you just kind of repeat it, just the timing of it is just brilliant. The way it's set up and it looks.
And I just remember, like...
So much.
Because you hadn't seen it until we watched it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't
even
know about it.
Okay, so I didn't even preface it for you.
Well, I think I remember you being like, oh, my God. Like, you forgot
you're going to love this.
I think we got close to the end, or I think we got to the end and you're like, oh, I forgot that this was... This is it. Like, this is the end of it.
And then it changed our lives.
Yes.
Well, hey, that was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Well, what a show.
Yeah, what a show.
What a match. What a moment. What commentary.
Yep.
I guess we're going to be reviewing this Tuesday in Texas at some point,
At
whether
some
it's
point.
next week or in the near future, but that's definitely going to be on the docket.
Sure, yeah, no reason not to.
We're going to go backwards in time, but yeah, this was awesome, and we'll see what shakes out next week, I guess.
Yeah, we'll put that cigarette out.
Put your cigarettes out.
We will never know.
We will never know. Bye.
Brainbuster Boys, Episode 23, David Lynch. June 13th, 2021.
Sayonara, David Lynch.
Yeah, sayonara, David Lynch. I guess.
I wonder where Lynch ended up with all this shit.
Okay, well, I guess if we're thinking about this metaphorically, if the Black Lodge represents some sort of dark period or place, then he's probably gone back to when Twin Peaks was canceled, or Fire Walk with Me came out and it got bad reviews. That was around 1992.
Yeah, sometime around there, yeah.
Well, where the heck am I? Royal Rumble 92? Huh, that's weird. Well, at least I got my smokes. May as well fire one up.
Okay, very good. Ric Flair, you have made world. Put that cigarette out.
Well, okay. You put on a good show there, Gene. Well, god damn it, I'm in fucking 1992. Gee whiz. Well, at least you can't watch a movie on your fucking telephone here. Well, I guess I'll go outside for my smoke now. After Gene told me to put it out. There's got to be some way to get back to the present. And when I do, I'm going to get those fucking Brainbuster Boys.
Cigarette out. Put that cigarette out. Put that cigarette out.